Oakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into a Thursday episode of Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin. Down as always, Anthony Hartwig, Ty Bartell with you on a Thursday, Ty, and some big basketball games last night. Results to get to. We're going to play our Price is Right challenge with Baird Brothers' Big Dog of the Valley. We'll pick tonight's games, and there are a lot of ones that could mean a lot, not just into the conference standings, but also into our power ranking standings as well. Some of those teams have some big games on the horizon tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. As part of an exciting week of basketball, we're going to have a bunch of power ranked teams going at it this weekend, going into this weekend. So it's going to be a fun week on the network.
Let's get to results. And the first one, which we always start with the games that I am at, you look at Canfield and South Range. This was a game that got moved up from late February to last night. It was supposed to be played as kind of the season finale for both teams, and instead it got played last night. And kind of a positive for both teams. Canfield dominated the win, 45-17. Their defense was absolutely suffocating. Their length gave South Range problems all night. South Range is a team that likes to drive. Not a lot of shooters from perimeter on that team, and it's hard to drive when you also have a height disadvantage. They just could not get good lanes into the hoop, and they struggled all night. But positive for South Range, Lexi Giles got her 1,000th career point. She needed 3, and she got exactly 3. It was a tough night for Lexi. She pushed through it and got her 1,000th point on the free throw line in the fourth quarter. And, so positive for both teams. And for South Range, yeah, it's another tough loss, but the league's still in front of you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the league games are the ones that matter. And we knew it was kind of like an underdog story going into this with South Range going against Campfield. We know that the leagues are a little bit different, and those teams are a little bit different in where they are right now. And I thought South Range would have been able to hold them defensively. I thought it would have been a little bit closer, but Campfield had one of those nights where everything's clicking on offense, and they have a lot of weapons that they can go to. And when all those weapons are clicking, it's very hard to stop them. And once again, they showcase that, and also showcase that Campfield, they don't got a bad defense either. We talk a lot about their offensive weapons. They play a solid defensive game.
One of the things that I thought about this game coming in, you'll look at Canfield, you look at South Range. I think Canfield, and I said it yesterday, I think Canfield has had too many weapons, too many ways to score. Alyssa Dill, Abby McElroy, DeLucia had a good game. Mike can shoot. She hit a 3. And then you got Cammie Dill, who's basically a carbon copy of her sister, just a little bit of younger mentality. So, I just think South Range's defense played a good game in their standards. They always like to keep teams to 40 or below. It was 45. So definitely defensively, the effort that Coach Fish wanted, just their offense a couple of times this year has been stalled and couldn't get out of the rut.
Yeah, and I mean showcased it again. And Campfield's a good defense too, so they play a good game. They do a good job of keeping you in front of them too. So it's very hard to find those driving lanes when you constantly have a hand in your face and a body in your lane.
Canfield moves on to play Austintown Fitch on Saturday. That'll be a big league game for them. 7 o'clock tip for that. And then South Range, they move on to Lakeview tonight. No rest for them. Both those teams, a lot in front of them, despite their early season struggles. I mean, Canfield has 5 losses now, too. So Canfield, South Range, both with 5 losses. But both of them just 1 loss in the AAC so far, and they still both have matchups with the only team they lost to on the horizon.
Yeah, and it's gonna be fun to see both of them compete. And you know what? This is an Austintown girls team that's gonna be a little bit more improved, I think, too. Since the last time Campfield saw them, they've won some games. They got some more experience under their belt, and they're hitting on all cylinders. So it's gonna be a fun matchup to see too in this AAC. It's a very fun conference to watch. Albeit it might be 5 teams, but those 5 teams they're going at it pretty well.
Alyssa Dill had 15 points last night. Gianna DeLucia had 10. Abby McElroy had 8. That will wrap up the scoring for Canfield. And once again, they will play Saturday night against Austintown Fitch at home. We move on to some more scores from last night as we venture into Boardman. They won 71-14 over Cheney. This is girls basketball, by the way. We're going in chronological order. Mackenzie Riccatelli tied the Boardman program record for most assists in a game. 14 assists for Riccatelli on the night as Boardman rolls over the Cowgirls 71-14.
Dropping dimes.
Dropping serious dimes. Get the bank, the censor out. Columbiana gets the strong win over East Palestine, 46-32. We see Howland. They keep rolling, 53-27. They win on the road against East. Louisville bounces back from their loss last night. Well, not last night, but Tuesday night to Maslin Perry. They get the win over the Western Reserve Academy, not our Western Reserve. I'll clear that up. 57-43. They get the win. West Branch, they sharpened their teeth before this matchup with Salem on Saturday. They put together maybe one of the more complete games that they've played this year against a pretty solid Mooney team. 69-31, West Branch gets the win. So they were led by Anna Lippiett with 21. She had a monster night. Sophie Gregory had 16, and Hannah Egley had 8. So balanced scoring. 8 different players for West Branch got on the stat book. So West Branch, man, that makes this matchup on Saturday look even better.
And it's a big one for West Branch, too, trying to avenge an earlier season loss. And it's a win that for West Branch would definitely do them a lot of justice, I think, in the power rankings. And it could be detrimental. A loss could be detrimental to either of these teams, and it could drop them into that period of being like 7, 8 then, and then you're in that fringe of dropping below. Because I'm looking at it perfect, pulling it up now where West Branch is 2 and Salem is 5 now. This is one where if West Branch wants to kind of secure their spot in those top 3 for this next power ranking, they're going to need this win. A loss, I think, surely drops them out of the top 3.
Now, we both agree that Salem is only at 5 right now because it was just a weird week to lose. Where all these teams that we see in the top 4 had monster weeks. I mean, Poland didn't lose. West Branch got wins. Liberty destroyed the team that was right on there, not tied for them with the conference championship and champion. Both teams came in undefeated in the MVAC, and Liberty beat them by 30. And Louisville got 3 wins over 3 really good teams. So it was just a bad time for Salem to lose as far as the power rankings are concerned. I don't expect them to stay. Even if they lose to West Branch, I don't expect them to stay out of the top 5 or stay out of the top 3. We have a phone call. Let's see if this is a real person. Welcome into YSN Live. You're on Running Point. Who do we have on the line? Who's this? Hello.
It's you talking back to yourself, Ant.
It's nobody. So.
Well, that's there goes the conversation. Great question. That's the contributions, but
Interesting thoughts.
But no, I think Salem. I think if Salem loses, I think it'll keep them right around the top 5. It could drop them. It depends on the weeks that some of these teams have, though, because
let's look back at Louisville's loss this week. They lost to Perry.
Yeah.
So they're going to probably stay where they're at. Howard's got a game against Boardman on Saturday. They already won against East, but then you want. I mean, this is no disrespect to East, but like how much leeway do you give a win against East? How much leeway? I mean, Boardman is going to be the better win for them this week if they
especially after what Boardman just did too, and the way they're looking as of late. Boardman's starting to roll a little bit, so a win there could definitely help Hallen's case.
So it'll be interesting.
Honestly, if you pull up that list one more time, man, I just want to make one more point. I mean, if you really look even up, I mean, Campfield, Waterloo, Springfield, all they gotta need to keep proving themselves, I think, with good wins. But since Garfield's game against Fort Fry, they've looked impressive, and I think literally from 1 to 7, you can make a case for any one of those teams getting into the top 3 too. And I mean, it's just, I think anybody can vote any of those teams in the top 3, and I'd be comfortable with it. That's just how good all those teams are and how close all these teams really are.
You know what? You bring up Garfield, and they won last night 50-30. But you'll look at we were talking about assists with McKinsey Riccatelli. Assists for Garfield, they have 5 players that are averaging at least 2 assists per game on their team.
Just moving it around, man, sharing the wealth.
Let's go through this. Sarah Seaman averages 3.2. Sydney Seaman averages 3.1. Caitlin Lutz averages 2.4. Madeline Shirky averages 2.3. And Jenna Smith averages 2. So all those players, they facilitate their offense. They're obviously, with that, you have many ways you can score because all 5 of those girls can score pretty well. And they're all obviously unselfish. I mean, when you have a team that's basically their starting 5, and all 5 of them are averaging at least 2 assists a game, that's hard to deal with.
It's hard to deal with because if you're not running it through a primary point guard, it's hard for teams to kind of adjust to that because there's not really one player you can lock down, and it kind of makes hard on offense because they all move the ball around, they all share the wealth, and that's a very dangerous team too when you have a starting 5 that is facilitating what would that be, over 11 assists amongst them. That's pretty awesome.
Garfield got the 50-30 win over Bristol last night, out of conference win for the G-men, as they continue to roll in that MVAC.
Yeah,
Newton Falls got the big non-conference win over Lakeview, 41-36, excuse me.
And it was a big win too for Newton Falls, I think, as that program needing another win. I think they were 3-7 going into that game, and that's a good one to kind of try to straighten your season out and get it on track over a solid Lakeview team.
A couple of boys scores as well that some boys teams got moved to last night after the weather on Monday and Tuesday. We see Boardman, they fell to Warren Harding in that boys-girls doubleheader, 56-47. And this was a Boardman team that was starting to ride high, and then Warren Harding came into town and kind of doused them off a little bit.
Yeah, Warren Harding is a solid basketball program, and all these teams beating up on each other this year so far. So in the AAC, it's like the wild, wild west.
Typical AAC basketball, everyone just beating up on each other, and always a fun game. Latonia gets the edge win over Sebring, 32-31, the Bears' second win of the year.
It is a big win for the Bears too, and you know what? That was a game that was up in the air, and had we had more time to think it through, that might have been one that we could have deciphered. But no, good win for Latonia for picking that one up over Sebring, getting a second win on the program.
Garfield boys get the win over Ravenna, 72-50, and in that game, Caden Spade, 1,000-point scorer in his career as he gets his 1,000th point for the G-men. So 2 milestone nights last night, one in South Range, one in Garfield, both of them doing it at home.
Yeah, the ace of spades getting number 1,000.
I like it. Got the ace of spades up the sleeve, and he gets his 1,000th career point. So congratulations to Caden Spade once again for the Garfield G-Men, getting his milestone win last night. He does it in a win for Garfield, 72-50 over Ravenna.
Right in my backyard, beat the boys from my backyard.
Right in your backyard. So when you look at all those scores, Ty, I gotta think the one that really stands out to me in the girls' side, we see all these teams in the power rankings getting very strong wins. I mean, like Canfield didn't struggle, Howland didn't struggle at all. Louisville took care of business against Western Reserve Academy. West Branch took care of business against Cardinal Mooney. That's why these power rankings are starting to get so murky.
They're gonna have a lot of these teams are gonna have to play each other too. Again, is the thing, and so we're gonna see these teams have to move because of wins and losses. So movement's is bound to happen throughout this season, and there's a lot of big games on a lot of these teams' schedules. It's gonna be interesting though for their final regular season power rankings where it stands.
Okay, so now it's 12:15. Without further ado, Ty, let's do our Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley Price is Right challenge. Come on down. I was trying to think of the song for Price is Right. I couldn't think of it, but I got it. My brain clicked. You'll look at it. For the first time this winter, we're going to have 3 polls, and that will affect obviously how we decide how this voting is going to go in the next hour 45 minutes. Let's start with at the top of the polls this week is the boys poll, and the boys basketball poll starts with Trey DePietro of Boardman getting on the list. This kid, I mean, he's got height, he's got length, he's got ability to shoot the ball. A very talented young man in the Boardman Spartans program.
Yeah, and I mean Troy DePietro is one of those guys that the DePietro name you hear allotted throughout the Boardman's athletics programs, and they're very good in a lot of sports, and DePietro is not a exception to that in basketball for sure.
Next, another one that has a pretty good family connection, this time coming from Howland. Anthony Masucci gets on the board, and he is, quite frankly, in my opinion, the best scorer in the area this year.
I think he's one of.
I won't even say one. In my opinion, right now, I think he's the best, just flat out scorer in the area at this time. When you're a junior, you missed your whole sophomore season, and you still have 93s in your career right now, above 90 by now, probably. He had 90 coming into his last game. That's just unreal. Imagine if he had his whole sophomore season.
I mean, he's a shooter. I mean, shooter shoot. That's the name of the game too. And I think, like I said, I think he is one of the best in the area too. And no doubt he's part of what makes that Howland offense really run too. And his ceiling will be even higher too going into his senior year.
Ty, what's our rule? When you break records, you get on the list, right? Right. That's our record. That's our rule. Well, Nick Millian broke 2 records for Columbiana. Not just the points in a game record, but he also broke 3-pointers in a game record in Columbiana last week in one of their wins. I think 41 points in the game. I want to say 9 threes.
Nice.
Impressive.
Nice.
For
like
a high caliber.
$1 million.
In a high caliber program like Columbiana, that is so impressive to get on the top of the mountain like that. Next, we have Ward Kiko from United, known for his football, but he's doing some work on the hardwood, especially the last 2 weeks.
Ward, we got to leave it to Beaver. Ward Kiko.
Go make some copies. Kiko.
No, I like the name though too, and I mean doing great things for United and Ward Kiko too. Like the name too, so that's gonna help out, I think, a lot.
Next, we have the leading scorer, the Warren JFK Eagles, Jaden Rischel, finally getting a nod on this list.
Yeah, and getting a chance to talk with Coach K, you got a chance to talk with Coach K too. No, just
The
knowing
original
how.
Coach K. None of this Duke stuff. No, no, no,
Yeah,
no.
no.
We have the real one.
Wait, we
The
have
OG.
the OG Coach K. Not even, but no, our Coach K we love, of course, and no, I mean Jaden Rischel is one of those guys too that he's just a flat out baller, and I mean he's part of that JFK program, and I think he's going to be part of what makes that program very tough to knock down in the tournament, as they're kind of not. I don't want to say treading water, but they're figuring themselves out. They're getting themselves back on track. But come tournament time, you always have to be aware of the Eagles.
They started out 1-4, and since then they've won 4 of their last 6 games. They're sitting at 4-6 right now, I believe, and they have a big one on Friday with Southeast.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's going to be an interesting game too. And I would never count out JFK in those kind of matchups.
Last but certainly not least, and maybe one of the most biggest turnarounds this year, and leading to the biggest turnaround this year, is Girard's Thomas Cardero getting on the list. Remember, Girard last year, just 3 wins on the season, already, I believe, 8 this year and counting. What a big turnaround for Girard, and Cardero is a big reason why.
Yep, and they're not doing it. There wasn't many transfers, not many new additions. It's just simply the guys came back from last year better, and they've improved their game, and you can see that. And Cardero is one of those guys that going into this season, he really improved his game, and he's been a huge part of what's turned that Girard team around from last year.
It's an absolute credit to Coach Hannon and his ability to develop young talent. I think this year is definitely putting that on full display.
Yeah, and that's a great nod to Coach Hannon and what he's able to do with that Girard program. And you said it. I mean, you said it best. He does it once again.
We venture down to the girls' poll, and we start with Edison getting a nod this week, and Savannah Ingram, the point guard that is leading their team. And under the radar, indeed, they have 10 wins in the season. They're sitting at 10-4 right now.
I've been saying it too, and Coach Smith's one of those guys we got to talk to early on in the season. Edison's one of those programs. They always silently fly under the radar, but they get better each and every season, it seems like, in all their sports. Edison's always constantly improving, it seems like, and they're doing it once again on their girls' side for basketball, and they're sneakily good, and the Wildcats will get you. Savannah Ingram's one of those motors, though, that keeps that offense in tune and in check, as she facilitates it very well from the point guard position.
And we were already blessed enough to have Savannah Ingram on the show last Friday. She came on for a player profile. So if she's able to win Baird Brothers Big Dogs, we can always just link that interview right there and just be like, we've already talked to her. We got this. She's already been lighting the world on fire. Next, we have one of the many senior leaders for the Mooney team, Elena Scavina, who did lead them with 8 points last night and continues to lead that team very well. An up and down year for Cardinal Mooney, but man, do they have a tough schedule. Next for them is St. Vincent St. Mary.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, Coach Iorio will tell you that's exactly what the team wants to do, is schedule up and get these girls ready for the playoffs, and that's exactly what he's going to get them ready for, is the tournament. And by the tournament time, this Cardinal Mooney team's going to be sharp, and they're going to be tough to take down, because they always are on both sides of the ball. And Elena Scavina is one of those players that we've had a chance to see her the last few years on the network, and you just see her starting just steadily improve every single year, and she was already pretty good a few years ago, and she's continuing to improve her game, and she's turned into a very good ball player.
She's one of those players that is just a natural athlete. I mean, she's good at everything. It feels like she's good at everything she steps onto. I mean, one of the leaders of that volleyball team has been for a while, definitely leads the basketball team, and then you're going to see her really shine in the pitcher circle come softball season, because hitting and pitching and catching, because she catches Elena Francis, and they kind of – last year they just kind of caught each other, which was really cool. Be like, okay, you pitch, I catch. You pitch, I catch. So she's going to shine whether you're on the volleyball court, basketball court, or softball field. And I almost hit softball court. I almost got myself.
Softball court.
So Elena Scavina on the list for Cardinal Mooney. Next, we have a senior, again, another senior, Abby Farber from Poland, the second Bulldog, to get the nod on our nominees list this season.
Yeah, and I mean, this is one I think you could speak to a lot better than me. I've only seen Abby, I think, play once, maybe twice this season, but I know you're usually in that Poland gym a lot too. You try to get there as much too, being one of the voices of Poland girls basketball. So I know Abby though. I mean, just seeing her, she's one of those. She's one of the 5 girls on that offense that just seems to roll with it. I mean, she's another one of those just great players that Poland has, and I'm sure you could speak a lot more on her than I can and do her
Well,
more justice.
quite simply, she's earned the nickname Big Game Farber. I mean, big shot Farber. She consistently this year especially is hitting really monumentous shots in every game they play. Whether it be a shot that takes a 6-0 run into a 9-0 run and gives them momentum. She hit a big shot in South Range that kind of stemmed the momentum back in that game. She hit a big shot against Struthers, against Boardman. We've interviewed her for post game so many times that it's just like you can't go away from it because she keeps hitting these big clutch shots that are in the best time possible for her to hit a three. So, not to mention she's always on the other team's best player. Every night she is on the leading scorer. She plays emphatic and incredible defense. So, one of the players that's probably on the list a little bit more for her defense than her offense.
And when you have a player that plays great defense on top of it too, and all that offense is just extra, and she's able to give you those big shots with some ice in her veins. I mean, that's a player that I think anybody would take on their roster. And I mean, you talk about a player that's so willing to go on the best player on the opposing team defensively and has no problem taking those big shots down the stretch of a game. I think anybody would take that type of player on their team.
Up next, premiering for the second time on our nominee list, Brooke Shantz from Western Reserve. And the Devils are starting to pick up some steam, and she's one of the big reasons why they got the win over Jackson Milton. Now they play at Waterloo tonight. It's going to be a big one. It's the Brooke Shantz show right now in Western Reserve.
Yeah, and Brooke is really, like we said, she's one of those girls that has carried over from those last year's teams. One of the 3, I think, girls that Coach Miller talked about. And Shantz is one of those players, too, where it goes through her a little bit as well, point guard-wise. She handles the ball well, and she can go and score and get hers as well. And Brooke is one of those players that she could drive. She could shoot a little bit, but she's really part of what I think is leading this Western Reserve team to a turnaround. And what Coach Miller's doing, like he said, he's got to get in there and coach a little bit. And this team's starting to buy in and starting to reciprocate the coaching from Coach Miller now. And Shantz, I think, is a big leader on that team and why the turnarounds happened a lot quicker.
Next on the list, Liberty. Aaliyah Foster. She's a problem. She is a problem. She's got the size. She's got the speed. And she's got the ball handles to dribble past you on the drive. Just a testament to the fact that she has to wait this long to get on the list because Demi Watson had to get on first. But the second Liberty Leopard to get on this list. And Liberty obviously setting the world on fire right now, still undefeated. Big matchup with Brookfield tonight.
Yeah, and I believe she's averaging over 17 a game right now. She's the second leading scorer, part of the big 3 that's averaging over 15 a game over there in Liberty. And Aaliyah Foster, very good at driving to the hole, and she has some great length. Just as far as wingspan is concerned, as when she's able to drive to the hoop, it just seems like when she outstretches her arm, she's just closer to the rim than anybody else, and it just makes things a lot easier for driving. She could shoot it a bit too, and I mean that's just part of what that makes that Liberty team so dangerous. Is that also when she drives, she can kick out to both Sienna Smith, Demi Watson. You got Banks there too. I mean, there's so many girls there that can shoot. And they can all pass as well, and she is no different and no exception to that.
Last but certainly not least, someone that you're going to see tonight, Kara English from Waterloo, being the second Viking to get on the nominee list. She joins Rose Counts.
She's the bruiser as far as I'm concerned, as she'll put some English into it every single time she goes down into the paint, as one of the physical type of players that she's not afraid to go up there with contact, and nothing's going to stop her on her way to the hoop most times. As very smart player, she could pass it very well. Her and Couts go along hand in hand as 2 very good point guards for Waterloo. And yeah, Carrie English is one of those girls that you just see old school type of basketball with that physical type of play. She embraces that 10-4.
Just a reminder on the soccer field too. She has 95 career goals as a sophomore.
She's a super athlete for the Lady Vikings on all kinds of field or court. She's a super athlete.
And they say English is the hardest language to learn, and I think English might be the hardest person to figure out on the basketball court.
Absolutely.
I can do some wordplay too. We're not done yet, though. We go to wrestling nominees, and it's the debut of the wrestling big dogs of the Valley. We are so proud to add them to the list, and it starts with Tyler Stanley from Wellsville.
Yep, we got Wellsville representation on here too. And don't forget, if you wanted more like in-depth looks at these players, we had our talk with Gary Altizer on yesterday's show. You could find that on our YouTube channel, as well as I believe old Facebook too. Well, I think they're uploaded on Facebook. So you can find those as well. As I think Gary actually went through all these as we had Tyler Stanley, and he talked about him a little bit for that Wellsville program, as I think Wellsville has that Buck Bailey tournament coming up this weekend.
They do indeed. And the next on the wrestling list is Quentin Burns from Liberty, and Haiti coaching a really good program like always. And Quentin Burns is one of the headliners of the Leopards wrestling program this year. Next we have Dylan Smith of Poland.
And that Poland program always, it feels like they do two things well. They breed a lot of good football players, linemen and linebackers, and then they turn them into wrestlers, it seems like a lot of the times. And either or, they just got a lot of big size down there for Poland. And I mean, but Dylan Smith's one of those guys too, because Poland's always had a good wrestling program too. They've always been big into it. And that's another one Gary was talking about too, is just one of those guys. I believe he was ranked. I just can't remember where he was ranked to, but I believe he was ranked somewhere.
Yeah, and when you watch Poland's football team, someone comes up and says, "Hey, they have a pretty good wrestling program too." You go, "No, there's a shocker."
Yeah,
it's just the way they play. You know that they're physical and they are big, and they make perfect wrestlers. Why they have a good program. Logan Hours, who might be one of the best in the area. He
ranked number 1 in his division.
Can compete with the state championship. Was ever so close last year to getting it. He looks to get back this year. He gets on the list. This was a no-brainer. If
you're going to put it together a list, you have to put him, as we said, and he's ranked number 1 in his division. As it's the hour show down there too. And I mean, Beaver Local always has a good program too. They've always been known to, and no exception with this kid. He has very, like you said, you want to talk about a kid that has a chance to bring back some state gold. That's definitely one of them.
Absolutely. Tyler Littner from Austintown Fitch, and then Sean O'Horo, who has over 140 career wins as a wrestler and counting. He is on the list to round out.
That O'Horo name, man, it goes from football right into wrestling, and they just does big things on both. I mean, he's incredible. Littner is another one too in Austintown, ranked I think 8th in his is what Gary said in his division. So, and that's the big Division 1 too. So that's pretty serious as far as Littner. He's a great wrestler, and I hear his name a lot too with the Austintown wrestling program. So I'm looking at that too. Austintown Boardman, the AAC always has great wrestling though. It seems like, and no exception here with O'Horo and Littner.
Okay, real quick, we'll recap the nominees, and then we'll do our guesses on where this voting will be by the end of the show. We have Trey DePietro of Boardman. This is going to boys basketball. Anthony Masucci of Howland. Nick Millian from Columbiana. Ward Kiko from United. Jaden Rischel from Warren JFK. And Thomas Cardero from Gerard. On the girls' side, Savannah Ingram from Edison, Elena Scavina from Cardinal Mooney. We have Abby Farber from Poland, Brooke Shantz from Western Reserve, Aaliyah Foster from Liberty, and Kara English from Waterloo. On the wrestling side of things, Tyler Stanley from Wellsville. We have Quentin Burns from Liberty, Dylan Smith from Poland, Logan Hours from Beaver Local, Tyler Littner from Austintown Fitch, and Sean O'Horo from Boardman. So, Ty, without further ado, let's see where these are. The boys' basketball total right now is at 19,990. The girls' basketball total right now is at 9,650. The boys.
They're trying to come back with some wins. Did they win last week, or did the girls win last week?
The girls won last week.
So the girls are up right now 5-1, but the boys trying to get another win on the season.
And let's see. Last check, wrestling was beating both of them. So let's see what wrestling.
Yeah, wrestling came in and just body slammed both of them.
So the wrestling total is at 24,561.
That's brute. That's might. And that wrestling community I knew was going to come out to fight. And they came out with a fury, it seems like, with 24,000 plus votes already, beating both boys and girls basketball. What is that Gary said about wrestling? It's about control. Well, they're controlling the voting right now.
19,990 plus. Then we have 9,650. 9,650. So right now, Ty, the voting total is at 54,201. There is an hour and a half of show.
And you got first pick on the night.
I got the first pick.
What is it at right now again?
54,201.
Okay, 54,201.
I'm going to put my vote 75,000.
75,000.
Yeah, I'm going big. Going big or going home. Because the worst thing I can do is that we both go over and we try again tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going big. I'm sick of this underplaying it, Ty.
He's done. He's done with it.
The boots are coming off. The gloves are coming off. You know, you're up by 6 in the picks. I'm kind of.
You need something. I've been beating you.
I got some
7 straight weeks in this now.
My competitive juices are flowing. I'm sick of losing. 75,000, Ty. What do you think?
What is the leeway I have to give you on this?
2,000 for
2,000. So I have to go at least 77 or 73.
Well, you don't have to give any leeway if you're going under me, really, right? Because like if you're 70,
I can undercut you at 74.99.
Oh, well, okay. No, because no matter what, it has to go over 75 for me.
True, yeah.
So you can go 74.99, but it doesn't really. I mean, it just means that you think that I'm just going to be one off, and they don't get the 75,000.
Yeah, I got you. That does make more sense. At 54,000, that would be 23,000 votes in an hour and a half. That'd be unprecedented for them.
Remember, there are 3 polls.
I know, but 23,000 in an hour and a half would be something. I'll go 77. I'll believe in them. I'll bite. I'll bite.
I'm not losing today.
The wrestling community came into it. They're coming. They're coming.
I'm not losing today. I am not losing today. I am either going to win or I am going to push to tomorrow. I am not losing today. I am saying it. Speaking into existence.
Might get it. I'm 7-0 on you right now on the basketball season for this, so you need to get some wins.
I don't think I won during the fall either.
You might not have, honestly. You're looking for your first win on Baird Brothers.
I'll never forget 2 weeks ago when I lost by 39 votes. 39
Literally
votes.
39 votes.
And then that one we were at Mill Creek where they just went off just for you.
For like 12,000 votes.
In an hour. In an hour.
They came in with a bunch of votes.
We're going to take a break on running.
Anthony needs a sulk.
I need to sulk a little bit. And we'll be right back on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends: shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Every one of our vehicles has undergone our own 126-point inspection, so it passes the most important inspection, yours. No other dealership has the extra inventory, gives you extra for your trade, and goes the extra mile for you. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
For a great vehicle and a great experience, come to Boardman Mitsubishi today. As always, our full lineup of Mitsubishi models comes with a standard 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Boardman Mitsubishi, your hometown Mitsubishi dealer since 1999.
Coca's Pizza, always supporting our community and our local athletes. Stop in on game day or score big and have it delivered right to your door. Check out our daily specials at cocaspizza.com. That's Coca's Pizza, we serve it hot.
At Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University and proud.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell. And Ty, we set the bar for Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley. We are going with, what, you said 77, I said 75. It's currently at 54,201. So we're both hoping against hope that somehow, some way, that will turn itself into reality.
And it just might, Anthony. It just might.
We have a couple of post-game interviews from Canfield last night that we just happened to get uploaded, and we're going to have two right now. We'll have Lexi Dials a little bit later. Let's listen to what Coach Reel and Alyssa Dill had to say after their win over the Raiders. Anthony Hartwig here with winning coach tonight, Matt Reel. Coach, Big win over South Range tonight, non-conference, to give you some confidence. What worked so well for your girls?
I think we had a tremendous defensive effort. Our girls have really taken a lot of pride in that. To hold a team to 17 points, as hard as they play, I thought was a really good job by our girls. That's probably the biggest positive I can take from this game.
You came in knowing that they had a player that was close to 1,000, and you took until the fourth quarter to let her get there. Was that kind of the emphasis to not let them get that energy boost of trying to keep her out of 1,000? And as hard as that must have been, because she only needed 3, it still had to be a very defensive message to try to keep her as low as possible.
Well, I think it was so much the 1,000 points. It was just how good a player she was. And, you want to limit her touches, limit her shots. And we wanted to make sure that every time she had the ball, we had 2 to 3 people looking at her. So, I think our girls took a little extra pride in making her earn it. But I think they would have done that irregardless of 1,000 or not, because she's their best player. And we really wanted to try to limit her comfort.
Alyssa Dill set the tone for you guys. I believe she led with 15. I mean, we've been talking about Alyssa Dill for a while at Campfield. Put into words what she means to this team and what she meant to you guys tonight.
Alyssa Dill is a special player for us. She really responded in the third quarter, and she led us. And she's put in a ton of time for us. I'm so proud of her. And the problem with Alyssa most of the time is that she doesn't believe she's the best player in the court. She's that humble of a kid, which I think is a great quality. But when you're on the basketball court, I just want to believe in that she's the best player, not on the court, but in the state, even if she isn't. But I thought she really answered the challenge for us. When she plays well, we follow. And I think that was a real big key.
When this team has struggled, it's been finishing. How proud were you that you guys had a really good fourth quarter and finished strong tonight?
You're right with that. That's been the story of our season. And, sometimes when you play those close games, you kind of doubt yourself. And, sometimes it's just tough to kind of get past that mental hurdle. I think the teams we've lost to are outstanding teams. And we're hoping that experience that we've had in the past is really going to help us going forward. And some of those tight games and all the experience we had and maybe some of those failures is going to help us. We talked yesterday, without any downs, you can't really experience the ups. And so, we had some downs and some games we felt we really could have won. And we're hoping that experience is going to help us feel some more ups.
You got Fitch next. Quickly preview that game and how you're going to use this one as momentum heading into it.
Well, they have a really good player in Zeta who's scoring it well and a really great shooter. So I think, how we guard Lexi is really going to give us a great preview there. It's a young team for Fitch that's playing really well. I know Jeff being a first-year coach, he's got them playing very hard. And their younger kids are now more experienced. So we're expecting a typical AAC battle on Saturday night, but we're looking forward to it. It's our senior night.
Coach, congratulations on the win. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you, Anthony.
Anthony Hartwig here with tonight's Greenwood Chevy Player of the Game, Alyssa Dill. Alyssa, big win for you guys tonight. Defense was the key. How much pride did you guys take in the defensive effort tonight?
I mean, we knew how good Lexi was. We know she's a 1,000-point scorer, obviously, so we wanted to keep her touches limited as much as we could. And we just really wanted to work on it, like talking to each other and getting the defensive rebounds, because that's what wins you games is defense.
You came out and scored a lot in the third quarter at a halftime. What was it about this third quarter and trying to get separation as the game went on?
Well, at the end of the half, we gave them 19. They had 19 turnovers, and we were only at not enough points to convert on the turnovers. So we just talked in the locker room how we all need to be better leaders and we need to convert on our turnovers, and that's what we try to do our best the third and fourth quarter. And so we just responded really well to what our coaches told us to do.
You are one of the leaders of this team. Talk about what that's been like and taking the responsibility as a leader this year.
I mean, it's been a learning experience for me. I'm still trying to become a better leader for everyone, but I just got to realize that, other girls are still learning, and we're all trying to be as best as we can, and I just got to help everyone out. And all the seniors do a good job of that, and so do the underclassmen. We just like to help each other out.
Alyssa, congratulations on Player of the Game and the win.
Thank you.
That was Alyssa Dill and Matt Rail, both sharing some thoughts after Canfield's win over South Range last night. And Ty, like we said before, they have a big one coming up on Saturday, and Coach Real previewed it pretty well. This is a Fitch team that is gaining more and more confidence as the season goes on.
Yeah, and it'll be a fun matchup too, no doubt. And like you said, senior night, so it should be a fun one.
Yeah, senior nights are always fun. It's always fun to see players kind of shake off the emotion of senior night and refocus and try to get into the game mindset, because it can be very hard to kind of almost say goodbye, because you're not. It's not the end of the season, but you kind of are. You're taking that moment to reflect and congratulate and honor the seniors that have put through 4 years of work into your program. But at the same time, after all that, you gotta kind of get your mind right and go and play basketball.
And looking at it, it's gonna be another one.
It's gonna be another one. Let's see what comment we have.
Join.
Someone from Twitch that doesn't look real. So I'm not putting it up.
Ysn Scully.
Oh, I love him. Yeah, you missed DJ Folkley.
I like DJ Folkley.
DJ Folkley.
The imposter, Folkley.
All right, let's get into the matchups tonight and go through what's happening and what our fans think will happen in our polls on Twitter. The Twitter. If you want to pick along with us, you can go to Twitter at Running Point YSN and pick these games with me and Ty. And Ty, we will start with what I feel like is the marquee game of the night in Liberty versus Brookfield. This is a game that came down to a Liberty buzzer beater the first time around. It's not for first place. Brookfield has struggled in a couple of other games this year, dropping a 4-point contest to Garfield last week. So not for first place in the MVAC, but still another test for Liberty for them to have to pass.
Yep. And I'm going to go ahead and I'll take this one. Give me the Leopards.
Hold on. Oh, I was going to get the fan vote first.
Well, get the fan vote. I don't need the fan vote for this one. I got my pick in my heart and my pick in my head all lined up. Spot me, Leopards.
The fans are with you, and it's to a total of 88%.
Spot me, the Leopards.
When I look at this game, though, Ty, why are you so confident in Liberty, considering that, like we said last time around, in Liberty, it came down to really a buzzer beater by Aaliyah Foster?
Game against champion is what really gave me more confidence in them. And I mean, just the way this team is playing going into this game. And I mean, breaking down the stats, when you have 3 different players scoring 15 or more, a lot of teams would break their back to get one player that's averaging over 15 points a game. And Liberty has 3 in Sienna Smith, Aaliyah Foster, and Demi Watson. Not to mention they have some great other role players that are attached on to that. They rebound well. They move the ball well. They shoot the ball well. It's just a complete team, and they're ranked number 1, and I'm not going to go against the rankings. I'm going to have to stay with the Leopards.
This one's going to be in Brookfield. And, Brookfield, they want to prove themselves a little bit. They've lost to Garfield. They've lost to Liberty, both in very close games. And they want to – what was that?
I got the controls, too, to make you full screen like you make me.
All you do is mute yourself, and it turns off your camera. You don't have the control panel.
I could if I wanted.
You could, but you don't. You don't. All right. I can kick you right off the broadcast. Don't tempt me. When I look at this game, I think Liberty is the better team and has the better roster on paper, but I look at the emotion and the mentality and think maybe Brookfield has the emotional edge right now, having that tough loss to Liberty last time and being at home. And that was on me. Being at home. I'm going to pick Liberty, but I think this game is going to be a lot closer than maybe this fan vote indicates. It might come down to another big shot.
It might have to. And it being in Brookfield, you don't doubt the Warriors, too. And, I mean, they got some great players out there, too. And you better watch out because hook, line, and sinker, and they might take you right to the bottom.
Sophie's the hook. Reardon's the line. And then
I like Sophie's the hook.
Oh, geez.
Anthony Blanken.
There's a third one. There's a third scorer for their team, and it just went right out my head. Right out my head. I had it when I set up that whole joke, and it just went
right over Anthony's head.
Poof. Joke's gone. All right. Maybe it'll come back to me as we move on to Latonia at Lisbon. This one is 60% Latonia on the fan vote. It'll be on YSN video only. I'm going to go with the fans and take the Bears on the road.
Yeah, give me the Bears as well.
The Bears. Ella Gregorino having a great season for her, but I think some of the secondary players are starting to get some confidence as this season goes along.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, doing a great job over there as Coach Kritz.
So let's move on to the next one. It is LeBray at Newton Falls. Newton Falls getting the big win last night. Can they keep their momentum against the LeBray team that's trying to kind of, how would I put this? They're trying to, tread water a little bit. They've looked really good at times, but they've lost the games against the big opponents on their schedule that they want to prove themselves and beat. So when you look at this LeBray and Newton Falls game, obviously Newton Falls deserves the respect. They got the win last night. But it's your first pick, isn't it?
Yeah, I got for me. I'm gonna go with I'll go with the Vikings in this one, and I think Newton Falls looked impressive. But the one thing I will say about the Vikings this year, and that's held true, is that they've beaten the teams that on paper they should beat. Going into it, they're a little bit further in their program. The bigger games they've struggled with, but they're kind of right now showing that they're right in the middle of that, a program that is being built and a program that is like ready for deep tournament runs. They're right in the middle, and they're at a fork in a road right now. But I think they continue to beat the teams that on paper they should be. Now, that's no discredit to Newton Falls, because Newton Falls has already showed that on paper they were supposed to lose yesterday, and they didn't too. So they could shut us all up and do it again today, because that's what the Lady Tigers are able to do. And when you have Coach Hembuck and guys like that over there in the Newton Falls program, it helps out a lot. But for this one, on paper, I'm going to go with the Vikings.
Fan votes with you, 100% edge to the Vikings. I'm going to go LeBray too, because they have one player that can take over a game. And
that's usually that helps out a little bit.
That's Laura McCoy, and I think when everything else is kind of a little bit even, LeBray a little bit better in some positions. I think when you have one player that can just take over a game, it's going to be crucial for Newton Falls to stop her. I don't think they will, and I think LeBray will get the win. Valley Christian going to Columbiana. This is my first pick.
Yeah, what say you, Ant?
The Twitter poll says Columbiana 80% to 20. And what are you doing? You're shenanigans, Ty. Shenanigans. Not having it.
He's not having it.
Not having it. This isn't cool. Let's see. Columbiana 80%, Valley 20. I'll do it.
No.
Clap with the Clippers, Ty. Clap with me. Come on.
I'll go Columbiana too, but I worry because every time I pick Columbiana, they lose. But let's see. But every time I don't pick them, they prove me wrong. So let me go Columbiana in this one.
This one split 50-50. Louisville versus Jackson Milton. This one will be in the Blue Jays' nest. Let's see. A total of 6 votes. So 3 people for Louisville, 3 people for Jackson Milton. That's interesting that the fans are buying the Rockets, making the upset.
Yeah, I got to go with Jackson Milton in this one. And I think it's because, looking at what Louisville was able to do against Waterloo, especially in that first half, Louisville always has decent games against Waterloo just because of the way they're able to shoot the ball. They shoot the ball very well, too. But I think people are buying in a little bit too much in that loss to Western Reserve, and they're not thinking that Western Reserve is either not as good as that win indicates, or that Jackson Milton has fallen off or something like that. And not a disrespect to Louisville, because I do think Louisville can beat them, because this MVAC Scarlet side is wide open, but I still think Jackson Milton can compete for this conference. They're the ones, like you said, they have the opportunity. and I can't just see them just dropping games. Is this one at home too for Jackson Milton?
Yes, it's in Jackson.
Yeah, I just can't see them dropping another a home game like that. I'm gonna go with Jackson Milton.
Like, they can't afford to. Like, quite honestly, they have 2 losses in the league. Waterloo sitting at none. And like we said back in last week, as far as the second place teams, Jackson Milton's still in the best spot because they still have Waterloo twice. So they need to make sure that when that first matchup happens, they're sitting in position where they say these 2 wins against Waterloo would tie up the MVAC no matter what Waterloo does in the rest of their schedule.
Yeah, and I mean, they can't afford to drop this one. Watch out for Coach Modelski and those Rockets, because they are sneaky good and they can burn you, especially from 3-point. But I can't pick against Jackson Milton being at home right now. I'm not going to disrespect them that much.
Louisville was up 10-8 on Waterloo after the first quarter in that matchup before Waterloo eventually ran away with the game. We might see an early lead for Louisville, but I don't think they'll be able to sustain it.
We'll see, though. I mean, they've proven us wrong sometimes this season already.
Yeah, a lot of teams have.
Yeah.
McDonald goes to Middle Ridge, and the Blue Devils have 67% of the fan vote. I think Coach Harrison is doing a great job with these Rams. I got to see them last week against Jackson Milton. Put up a heck of a fight. This is a young team dealing with not exactly the same position as Jackson Milton because they came into the season with more numbers, but those numbers are slowly but surely, because of injury and other things, just depleting. And now they have, I believe, like maybe eight available players on their roster all of a sudden. And they're starting to grow. Ava Hewlett's a great player. So is, it was Ava Hewlett that really, really impressed me against Jackson Milton. So I think Middle Ridge can really, put us. Olivia Booth, that's the other one that really impressed me during Jackson Milton's game. But I'm still going to take McDonald and their defense to get the win.
Yeah, I got to go with McDonald as well. I think Coach Matizzi's doing a good job trying to get that team back to where it can be and back to success. And I think this is one where I got to give the edge slightly to McDonald.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. We're loving it. We'll go to the next game, and this is Garfield at Campbell. The fan vote, 6 votes, all going to Garfield. And I won't. It's actually your first pick.
Yeah, I got to go Garfield as well on that one. I think they've looked really impressive since that tournament at Christmas time.
Yeah, they don't look like a team that's going to stumble against a team that they should beat. So I'll take Garfield as well. Go with the fan vote. The G-men going for Aaron Gilbert has, let's see, he has, want to go into to make sure, because he got a milestone victory with his career in Garfield earlier this season. But he still has a milestone victory for his own career, just in general, outside of not just Garfield. So he has 200 wins at Garfield, 241 overall. So let's see, he's got to be really close to 250. He got 240. He had his 200th win with that win over Nordonia in the holiday tournament. I'm going to go do the math real quick to see how many wins they've had since. I hope it's not 9 and we missed this, because then I would feel bad. So hold on. I'm going to pull up Garfield's schedule.
Dun-dun-dun.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire theme going on. Garfield is 9-5. Let's see. Since that Nordonia win, they have beaten Newton Falls, Crestview, Brookfield, LeBray, and Bristol. So this will be 6. This will get him to 247, excuse me. And then he could get to, if he wins the rest of his games, he'll get to 250 in that game against Western Reserve Academy, who Louisville just beat last night.
And that would be a huge milestone win for Coach Gilbert, too, doing a great job with that program.
But in that span, don't forget, he has to play Champion and Liberty.
It'll be great games, though. So, it'll be great ones. That Liberty Garfield matchup is going to be very exciting as well.
I think so. Liberty definitely feels like they should have won that game in Garrettsville. They had a lead in the fourth quarter, let it go. I talked to Coach Gilbert after their win in South Range, and he felt the same way. He felt like there were a lot of games they really should have won. This team was giving up leads, and they seemed to fix that after that loss to Fort Fry.
Yeah, and Liberty and Garfield is going to be a great matchup, I think.
So, Aaron Gilbert going for win number 247 on his career total. Already has 200 with Garfield, but this is his overarching career as a whole. So trying to get that 250 mark, you can get one win closer today. So we'll continue our picks as we go along on Running Point. We have Niles going to Hubbard, and Niles has 60% of the fan vote.
Ooh, is this my first pick or yours?
This is mine. You had Garfield first. I don't even know. Hubbard canceled their game last night. I don't know if this is actually happening. I'd like to confirm that. I'm going to take Hubbard though. I'm going to take Hubbard to get the win. I think they still have a winning record. They have more wins in their program right now than they had since 2012. So I'm believing in the Eagles. I think they'll get the win.
Yeah, I'll fly with the Eagles as well. Give me Hubbard.
Next, we have Lakeview going to South Range. It'll be your first pick.
I know it was a tough night for South Range, but they usually have done good, especially in league play. In the NE8, it's been them and Poland at the top. I can't go against that again. I got to go South Range in this one.
You know, when I look at South Range's season, their losses this year have been to Canfield, Akron-Hoban, Salem, Fort Fry. Wait, there's one more in there. Poland, right? So you'll look at that. The power rankings, that's like 5. 3 of those teams are in the power rankings. 2 of them aren't because they're not YSN schools, but they would be if they were because Fort Fry is a regional qualifier last year. They came this close to beating Highland in the regional semifinals. And you have Akron-Hoban, who a lot of people think is a favorite to win the D1 state championship. So, yes, they have 5 losses, but they're against very, very good opponents this year. I think they take care of business in the league, and they make sure that game on Monday means what they want it to mean on Monday. Obviously, Poland has to take care of business too. But I think South Range wants to secure that game on Monday, meaning what it is. I mean, we talked to Coach Fischel this week, and he said that game means nothing on Monday if we don't win on Thursday. So they're not overlooking Lakeview. Lakeview plays strong defense. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game, but I think South Range gets to win.
Rock with the Raiders.
We stay in the NE8, and it'll be your first pick, my first pick. You pick that one first. My first pick. Poland going to Struthers for round 2. Struthers, out of all the NE8 schools outside of South Range, probably gave Poland the biggest challenge so far this year. Now, caveat, when they played Girard, they did not have CH a triplet in the lineup. So Girard might give him a pretty big fight the second time around as well at full strength. But I think this is going to be a test for Poland. I think they're going to pass it. I have no reason why they wouldn't. But this one might be a little bit closer than any 8 games that we've seen from the Bulldogs in the past.
Yeah, Struthers is the wild card in that NE8, I think, and they could surprise anyone on any given night. But I'm not going to go against the power rankings either. I'm going to go with Poland.
Well, according to ArbitrLive.com, this game with Niles and Hubbard is still happening, despite the game last night with Springfield getting canceled. So I have no idea why it was canceled. We're not going to speculate, but it must be all cleared up for tonight because they are scheduled to play Niles. So we can confirm that. Jamie Thompson will have the call at 7:00. We go on to Sebring hosting Springfield in girls basketball. My first pick.
My first pick, I think. You pick Poland.
It's your first pick, but
I'll go Springfield though in this one. I do think Springfield is looking real good this season. sitting at 12-3. They're still in the power rankings, and they need to keep winning to keep themselves in the discussion for it. And I think they're going to take care of business.
And they're not. I mean, power rankings. Forget that. They're focusing on just staying in that MVAC race because they have 3 losses in the MVAC now to Waterloo, Jackson, Milton. Is that 2? No, they lost to some. No, just 2. I'm sorry.
I think it's just 2. Yeah, because they're tied with Western Reserve.
They're just not in as good of a spot because they have already lost to Waterloo. That's what I was.
Yep.
So they need to keep pace. They definitely do. United, they'll travel to Wellsville as they look to continue their undefeated in the EOAC season. I'll take the Eagles. It's my first pick, right?
Yep, and United, we stand with the Eagles, and I'll stand with them as well. Rather, I'll fly with them as well. Give me United.
You can't fly, Ty. We already picked Valley Christian at Columbiana. Let's go with Girard going to Jefferson. This is an interesting game, I think. Taylor Skinner, it's always hard to go to Jefferson, especially when Taylor Skinner is playing well. They've been close to a couple of good teams in the NE8. They only lost to South Range by 4 the first time around, and that was in Jefferson. Hard place to play. This is going to be a test for Girard. They're sitting at that middle spot of the NE8, trying to get into the top tier. But I'm going to take the Indians on the road. And it should have been your first pick, so I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. No, I think just because you said Triplet being back in the lineup, I mean, she makes all the difference, and for that reason, that's why I got to go with Girard as well.
Yeah, she's been back for about 2 weeks, but they lost her for maybe 3 or 4 games, and it just happened to be one of those games was against Poland. And when you're not at full strength and you're going against the best, it's going to be a tough night.
Yeah, no doubt.
We continue. Let's see. Wyndham will be hosting Shocker. Last night, Wyndham really did compete pretty well against a strong I saw their score. Was it Maplewood? I want to say Maplewood.
I think so, yeah.
A strong Maplewood team that's really good at basketball on the girls' side. But it wasn't a blowout. You know, it was respectable score. And this is a more even matchup for the Bombers. Can they get a win, a big program-defining win, as they try to build a program from the bottom up? Rock the banner, Ty.
Is this your first pick or is it mine?
No, I stole yours last time, so it's yours.
Oh, so you could steal my first
I
pick.
didn't mean to. I apologized.
I apologize, he said. Yeah, I'll go Wyndham. I don't think Chalker's having a strong season as well.
Rock that banner. I'll go Wyndham too. I don't think we've split yet.
I don't know if we have either.
Oh, no. I got to split with you somewhere. Crestview at Champion. This might be one that we split. Crestview pushed Liberty to a 10-point game last Thursday. They're starting to play really good basketball of late. They've won, 5 of their last 6. Laverne Gaskin is starting to really grow as a freshman. They have good senior leadership. Obviously, Champion coming off a tough week, losing not just to Liberty, but also losing a non-conference game to Bristol. Does Champion have the mental strength to bounce back from a tough week and handle a Crestview team that they haven't seen yet in home? This is my first pick, and I'm kind of I believe in Champion, but they had a rough week, and they lost by 30 to Liberty, and Liberty only beat Crestview by 10. I know you can't just go potatoes on that.
Tomatoes.
This is a tough one. This might be the toughest pick of the night, to be honest. I think, people might say Brookfield Liberty should be tougher, but I think Liberty's just kind of extended their level since the last time Brookfield played them. So I think this one's actually a little bit tougher with the way that Crestview has been playing the last 6 games.
Yeah, very well could be. I mean, Crestview has looked very good as of late.
It's in Champion. You know what? Toss-ups go to the home team. I'll take the Flashes. Now it's on you. You get to sweat this one out.
Is this the one I want to split with you on?
I don't know.
Um,
One of the last opportunities. In fact, I think that's the last game on our slate.
We'll have to go back through and make sure we didn't.
We definitely will.
I'm gonna go Champion as well. Home team, it's tough to pick against. I gotta go with Champion.
So you're not gonna split. We don't split tonight. That's
we'll go back through.
Let's go back through and make sure. But let's see. At the top of the schedule now, we'll just go from our spreadsheet. Latonia at Lisbon, we both pick Latonia.
Yep.
McDonald at Middle Ridge, we both pick McDonald.
Yep.
By the way, let's just go. The Lisbon Latonia game will be video only. Tip off is at 5:30. 6:30 tip for McDonald and Middle Ridge. Ian O'Brien making the trip to Rams country. He'll have the call there. Struthers hosting Poland, and we both picked Poland.
Poland, yep.
That one tips off at 6:45, and it'll be Bob Zaney and Struthers students on the call there. They put together a great show. By the way, Ronnie Leonard on the mic a couple of games ago. So we appreciate him pulling some double duty, playing basketball for the boys, and then getting on the mic for us on the girls' games. So
Yeah,
shout out to Mr. Leonard, who's also a big dog of the valley. You can hear his player profile on ysnlive.com. We go to Chalker at Wyndham. We both picked the Bombers.
Both picked the Bombers, and Noah Rick's on the call for that one, making the trip all the way out to Bomber country.
Say it all the time. If you haven't heard a Noah Rick's broadcast, do yourself a favor and tune in, because he is extremely fun to listen to. And we are so happy that we have him as a part of the YSN team. We move on to Louisville at Jackson Milton. It'll be Eric Hughes on the call here. It is a 6 o'clock tip in Jackson Milton. No JV. We both picked the Blue Jays.
Gotten a chance to work with Eric Hughes a few times. He's a great guy to work with. Does a great job as well. And this will be a fun game for him tonight. And yes, we do both pick Jackson Milton.
And he's traveling too. I mean, he usually does Louisville home games, and he's making the trip to Jackson Milton. So we appreciate the extra time and hard work that he's putting in. Next, Western Reserve at Waterloo. Did we pick this one?
Oh, yeah, we did.
We did?
I think we did.
I don't think we did. I think we picked LeBray. That's why I'm thinking Vikings.
Oh.
But I don't think this might be one we split on. Ty, it's your game. It's your first pick. Western Reserve at Waterloo. This one going to be tipping off at roughly 6:15-ish. They have a middle school game going on at 5. So, whenever that middle school game is over, 20 minutes warm up, and then Waterloo will be playing Western Reserve. Round 2. Obviously, round 1 went to Waterloo, and it was pretty emphatic. But this is a Western Reserve team getting some confidence, beating Jackson Milton, taking Springfield to overtime. Waterloo definitely has all the confidence in the world right now. Ty, this is a big game for the Vikings. Round 2 of the MVAC starts tonight. Can they pull it off? Your first pick.
Don't discredit Steve Miller. I don't discredit the Blue Devils, because they can be
school. We know where you're going.
I know you know where I'm going, but I'm going to give all the credit to Coach Miller, all the credit to the Blue Devils, and I do not think it would be out of the realm to expect a Western Reserve upset tonight and on the road, because they've already showcased that they could beat anybody and compete with anybody in the MVAC. But I can't go against the Sweethearts, man. I gotta go with the Lady Vikings tonight at home. Waterloo faithful behind them. They're getting all kinds of traction. Crowds are getting bigger. They're buying into this team. And that's a basketball community out there as well. So they're going to show up to support. Got to go Waterloo tonight.
You know what's tripping me up, though, is when your game with Western Reserve Jackson Milton, unfortunately, we saw Lisa Eicher go down. We don't know. I don't know anything about the status of whether she's good to play. But she wasn't in the game the first time they met, because she was still recovering from surgery she had in the volleyball season. We remember Steve Miller telling us in his preview way back before the season that they would be without her for a couple of weeks to start the season.
He makes a difference. She does.
He makes a big difference. And if she's on the floor, that's a different Western Reserve team. You know what? I gotta split with you once. It's
You going Blue Devils?
Boring if I don't. I'll go with Steve Miller. I'll rock the Blue Devils, and I believe in Waterloo. I think they absolutely deserve to be in the power rankings. I think they're having a great season, and this is
another game where they could prove themselves, though. Another one where, I mean, if they want to show dominance in that MVAC, especially their side, this is the game they have to win. And if you could say you got a sweep under Western Reserve under your belt, that's huge for the Vikings. But
this is a game that I'm picking more of a strategy thing than a slap to Waterloo or anything like that. I absolutely believe in Waterloo. I just got to make up some ground. I got to keep the risk. I got to take the risk. I can't have an even day where I don't make up any ground. So hopefully I don't lose any. I don't want to be down by 7. So Waterloo, Western Reserve, we split. You pick Waterloo, I pick Western Reserve.
Yep.
Crestview and Champion, we both picked Champion.
We did.
Larry Scragg will have the call, and that one tips off at 7 o'clock. Let's see. Garfield at Campbell Memorial. This one will be broadcasted by Noah Dottie, and this one will be a 7 o'clock tip. We both pick Garfield.
Yep.
This one not on the network, but is happening. Gerard at Jefferson. We both pick the Indians.
Hold it. I'm flying with the Falcons. Give me Jefferson.
Swerving.
I'm taking to the air with this one. Jefferson's the home team. Let me fly with the Falcons.
That makes me want to go back and take back my Western Reserve pick. Now I don't have to split with you on that one because I think I'm very confident in Gerard beating Jefferson, and I think I'm going to get this game. I don't like you, Ty. Because I'll ask you. We'll have a deciding because we make these rules ourselves. Is it too late for me to go up and switch that a pick?
He wants to go. He wants to jump back on the Waterloo.
If you're gonna all of a sudden split with Gerard and Jefferson, I'm much more confident in Gerard beating Jefferson than I am in Western Reserve beating Waterloo.
I'm flying with the Falcons. Something
told
me. Something grabbed my gut. Something grabbed my mind.
Say, worst case scenario, we split the two and we're even. And then if I gain 2 games, cool. I'm like,
you're 6 behind right now, buddy. You're starting to get on 2 hands.
I'm 6, but I am supremely confident that I won't be 8 behind. So my options are either even or 5 up, 5 down. So I'll stay with Western Reserve. I'll stay with Gerard, and I am emphatically confident in Gerard. Thank you for giving me that, my friend. Jefferson does not have the offense, in my opinion. LeBray, Newton Falls. We both picked the Vikings.
Yep.
Lakeview is South Range. We both picked the Raiders.
Yep.
Liberty and Brookfield. We both picked the Leopards.
Yes.
By the way, let's go back up since I got kind of sidetracked. LeBray, Newton Falls will be handled by the school at Newton Falls. I'll have that broadcast. 7 o'clock tip there. I'll be at South Range for Lakeview at South Range. 7 o'clock tip there. And then Matt Morrison and Alec Caberno joining forces as Liberty travels to Brookfield. They'll be on the broadcast together. You'll be able to hear them in, a little over a half an hour with the Casual Sports Podcast coming up at 2. So that one will be a fun one, 7 o'clock tip as well. Niles at Hubbard. We both picked Hubbard.
Yep.
This one is a 7 o'clock tip. Jamie Thompson will be on the call. Ooh, a phone call.
Speaking of the call, dun-dun-dun.
Let's see who we got.
A dog whistle, Anthony.
Let me recover from that.
Anthony's deaf. That's what they wanted. They wanted to take your hearing out, Ant.
That was not fun at all. Oh.
They came right in. High pitched noise. Oh man.
I'm already legally blind. You're gonna make me deaf too. Where were we? Oh geez, I've completely forgotten everything.
Jamie Thompson at Niles and Hubbard.
Okay.
Pick Hubbard.
Yeah, we both picked Hubbard. This game, not on the network, is happening 6 o'clock tip from Sebring. Springfield at Sebring. We both picked the Tigers.
Yes.
McCoy having the call in Wellsville. 6 o'clock tip as United comes to town. I heard DJ get up. He's going to answer this one. I'm not doing that. We both picked the Eagles for United at Wellsville.
Yes.
Valley Christian going to Columbiana. Our boss man, DJ Oakley, will have the call here. And we both picked Columbiana.
Both Clipper clapping along.
7 o'clock tip for that one. And Heartland versus Edison has been postponed. Heartland has canceled their game for tonight and Saturday. So, maybe something going on with some protocol in Heartland. We're not sure. But as far as Arbiter Live is concerned, those 2 games have been canceled.
Off the schedule.
Which is sad for Edison because, as we've said, they are putting together an under the radar pretty good season. Under the radar pretty good season for Edison. Let's see if there are any games here that are Ysn schools that are traveling to other schools. I don't believe so. Beaver Local going to Harrison Central tie. We have to pick this one. Is it your first pick? I don't even remember at this point.
I don't remember either. I think it's yours because I picked Waterloo Western Reserve.
All right, girls basketball at Harrison Central for Beaver Local. It is going to be a tip of 7:15. JV starts at 6. I don't even know how the last game went, to be honest. I'll rock the banner. Give me the Beavers.
I'll go Harrison Central. Anthony's so upset. Leave Harrison Central second in the Buckeye 8 right now. They're second in the conference.
I should have just taken the time to relax.
Anthony was
I was just like, what? I'll rock the banner. Whatever. I'll just rock the banner. And then, Harrison Central happens to be a really good team, and I didn't flub. I flubbed it.
Fumble.
Fumble risky. Maybe Beaver Local will pull off the upset.
They might. I mean, the Beaver Local programs, especially in girls athletics, you never can count them out.
No, I really got to be rooting for Western Reserve.
We split with 3. We started off with 0 in a matter of a few seconds. 3 splits now. Yikes. You can cut the lead in half, man. You can.
I could very well, and I will.
Or you could go down by 9, and
no, that's not going to happen. Even if,
that would be bad for you.
Even if
you could go down by 8 too.
No, you'll come in with final scores. I'll be like, that's not real. That's not real. Beaver Local 1. I don't know what you're talking about. I'll make a graphic that actually puts Beaver Local winning.
False graphics. Starts putting up fake graphics just to win the Pick'em challenge. Oh man.
Let's see. What else we have here as far as Ysn schools that are traveling outside of Ysn Nation? I believe that's it, if I'm not mistaken. But I just want to check one more thing real quick. Let's see. We're on January. Nope. East Liverpool, they're off until the 26th. They don't play until they play Buckeye Local on the 26th at East Liverpool High School. So that'll do it for our picks.
Pick'em is done.
We split on 3, and we're going to take our next break of the day. We'll be right back on Running Point, brought to you. Ooh, let me get a stupid cursor. I'm having a bad day, Ty.
It's going to be because of you. Falling down in the picks.
We're taking a break. Just like Ross and Rachel.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Working with your family can be stressful at times, but because they're family, you know that you're going to get a loving, honest answer, even when things don't make sense to any problem. Dealing with Medicare can be confusing and overwhelming. That's why here at Myers Family Insurance, we do our best to give you honest and caring answers to all of your questions. Family, like Medicare, isn't always perfect, but when you put others first, the results can be amazing.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance.
Storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Notice we'll have scattered showers on Thursday.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com. We do have now officially a post-game interview with Lexi Giles, who scored 1,000 points in the Raiders game last night. Let's hear from Lexi. Long-awaited post-game interview from Lexi Giles, the newest member of the 1,000-point club for South Range. Anthony Hartley here with South Range's brand new 1,000-point scorer, Lexi Giles. When I say that, Lexi, how does that make you feel?
Very excited. Definitely something special. I'm glad I got to get it today, even though it was hard, but I got it today, so that's all that matters.
You know, you came in knowing you were so close. Was it hard to kind of push through that pressure and try to just tell yourself to relax?
Yeah, definitely. It definitely was a lot. It was very nerve-wracking, especially with having everyone here and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just made it a little bit harder.
That being said, now that you have it, what kind of weight is that off your shoulders?
A lot. Don't have to count my points anymore. I keep checking and stuff, but no, a lot of weight off my shoulders.
Talk about what it's been like, you know, this career. You go from someone that was a secondary scorer to now being someone that defense is obviously focused so hard on, and what that transition has been like this year.
It's good transition. I think it's working well for us playing more defensively because then we can get more transition points and stuff. And I think honestly, it's just working out a little bit better for us now. So.
When you reflect on this awesome career at South Range, outside of tonight, of course, what are some of your favorite memories?
Just playing with my team and being able to be with my team and working together, and they helped me get to this point, so that's very exciting too, and I'm glad that I was able to make this memory with them.
What did it mean to you to get this at home and get this in front of your student section and all your friends and the banners and all the things that you probably wouldn't have been able to do if it happened on the road?
I think it means a lot more that I got it at home and having a great support system cheering me on throughout the game, even when it was getting a little challenging. So,
Lexi, congratulations, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
That was the newest member of the 1,000-point club in the South Range girls basketball program, Lexi Giles. She joins names like Morgan Zoper, Izzy Lamparty, both getting it in the last 5 years, as Zoper got it in 2015 and Izzy Lamparty got it in her junior season a couple of years ago. So it's been a great decade for the Raiders in that 10-year stretch where, you know, Zoper and now Giles, the three in the last decade, they've won 6 district championships. You know, it's a pretty successful train of success. Successful train of success.
Successful.
It's a successful train of success.
It's
for
just
South
success on success.
They've been consistent. They've been a consistent program with a lot of talented players that have come through, especially in the last decade.
Absolutely. I think it's been no doubt that they've done a great job. Has South Range in developing good talent, and Lexi Giles, another one to go through that program.
Tournament draw is nearing so much, and it'll be interesting to see how much the Division III coaches, how much weight they put on South Range. They're not going to have the best record in the district. So if they just do it on record, South Range might be like a 7 or an 8 seed. But if the coaches look and say, well, South Range's losses are to all, 2 Division I teams, Division III regional qualifier. Let's see, Salem is a D2 team and a D2 team. They might just say, let's make South Range maybe a 4 or a 5 or a 3 seed. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, looking at tournament, it's going to be interesting when the draw does happen to see where these teams do fill out and where those matchups are going to be. I can't wait for that, because that's going to be rapidly approaching. But looking at that, there's some big games on the network, and I wanted to do a little bit deeper dive into this Brookfield Liberty matchup and just looking at the stats for both of these teams, because I wanted to do deep dive into this and just look at right now where these teams are standing as far as stats wise are concerned. Before we go individual players, let me pull up the team stats for both of them too. As leading scorer for Brookfield is Sophie Hook at 17.5 points per.
I still can't think of that third name. It was
For
really
Liberty.
for Brookfield.
A lag spike there. Okay. I had a lag spike there. I didn't hear what you said, Ann. I'm sorry.
I said I still lost that third name for Brookfield I was trying to think of.
Oh.
Ty, I think you're having a connection.
There we go. I think it was Wellman is who you were thinking of.
Well, yes, that's actually their post player, but there's one more, number 15, and it's like right on the tip of my tongue. I know Reardon's there, I know Hook's there, and I just cannot think of that third player that scores pretty well from them in the wings. And it's like, it's right. I feel so bad. It's right there. She played volleyball.
Pulling this up. Hold on. There we go. Better now. Okay. Now looking at this. So for the team stats that I really want to look at for Brookfield, going down the line and just going straight comparison between the two teams. Points per game, first and foremost. Brookfield averaging 45.8, Liberty at 64.8. Looking at total rebounds per game, this is one where it edges in Brookfield's advantage, 42.2 rebounds per game as opposed to 31.3 for Liberty. Assists per game, very close for both teams. 14.5 team assists for Liberty, 13.4 for Brookfield. Steals per game. This one is where it gets a little bit even more interesting. Brookfield takes the advantage there, 16.4 a game over to Liberty's 13.5. Blocks per game again favors Brookfield a bit at 2.5 to 2.2 per game. Turnovers per game is a big one. Let me get that number for you on that. Turnovers per game, very, very close. 11.2 for Brookfield, 11.6 for Liberty. And that is what we're looking at as far as those stats breakdown is concerned. I can go into the shooting stats, but looking at those stats, Anthony, I mean, Brookfield has the advantage in the rebounds, the steals, and as far as Liberty's concerned, they have a slight advantage, it looks like. Well, big advantage in the points per game and a little bit one in the assists. So I think it's going to show, too. I mean, Brookfield, the way they're going to have to win this game is boxing out. They're going to have to win this game, I think, on the glass, and that's going to be the one.
What do you think? getting enough love?
Biggest sleeper team that's not getting enough love. Out of the entire network, I don't know. I feel like if you want to talk about a sleeper team, I don't know if we can't go any further as far as like the girls basketball. Edison, like you said, a 10-win team. That's
Yeah, a 10-win team that doesn't get talked about enough. I think Edison's a big thing, and I think on the boys' side, we talk about him a little bit, but I think it's Gerard.
Gerard's having a great season too. Gerard has quietly really improved themselves from last year, and I think that's a solid pickup too for the boys' side.
They just beat Struthers last week.
Yeah, that's a huge one too. Boys' side, I'm trying to think of like
Liberty is also another. I mean, Liberty.
They are a sleeper because Liberty's competitive with everybody they've faced off with this year. Liberty's a good pick for that one as well on the boys' side. These two teams, though, I can't consider either Brookfield or Liberty in the girls' side.
You're not under the radar. Sleepers.
No. But this is what the matchup I think is going to be interesting because Brookfield has that rebounding advantage by over 10 against Liberty. Liberty obviously averages more than 20 points per game than Brookfield, but that's going to be an interesting game because what Brookfield is going to have to do, it's going to have to come off the glass. It's going to have to come with boxing out, and if they're going to make it difficult in driving lanes and walking down the paint, Liberty thrives too on second chance points. So if they're getting offensive boards, that's going to be huge for the Leopards and second chance points. But if Brookfield's able to control the glass and limit that for Liberty, it's going to make things a lot more difficult. I wanted to look too real quick. What were their offensive rebounds per game before I
By the way, Anna Reichert was the name.
go into these two teams?
And I couldn't get it.
Offensive rebounds per game for Liberty is 9.8. For Brookfield, it's 17.7. That's a big number to look at, and that's a number I'm going to be looking at if I'm a Brookfield fan, and if I'm looking at team success. If this team's going to have success against Liberty, that's the biggest number I'm looking at in that offensive rebounding category. If Brookfield's controlling that offensive glass, getting themselves second chance looks at the paint, it's going to be a long night for Liberty because Brookfield's good at boxing out, and that's part of what led them to beating Crestview eventually in the playoffs, is that they use that height down low and they use that rebounding capabilities. They're tough and they bruise down low really well.
Let me take you back to this real quick, this power rankings, because one of the big knocks for Liberty, and some people have said it, they just don't have the strength of schedule. They beat Champion by 30. Well, Howland beat Champion pretty handily in their tournament as well. So it's like, so if Liberty gets this win tonight, does it have to be emphatic to get even more respect, or do you think a win's a win, and you just kind of? Because I feel like okay, you beat Champion by 30, but you beat Brookfield by a buzzer beater, you beat Garfield by 4, and they had the lead on you in the fourth quarter. So I'm thinking, like, do they have to come out and just emphatically beat Brookfield to get that respect?
Possibly, but I don't know because Brookfield's a good team. It's not. I mean, it's hard to. There's not many teams I think that would emphatically beat Brookfield.
What happens if Liberty comes out and beats Brookfield by like 15 or 20? I mean,
that one. I think. I mean, if they do that, then I feel like you have to start saying that they deserve the spot that they're in. Then,
and then like they go against Garfield next week. What if they come out? They go at home against Garfield, who a team once again they struggled with. They only beat by 3, and they were down in the fourth quarter. They beat them by like 10 or 15. It's like, okay.
This is a good Brookfield team too. So I wouldn't even if Liberty wins by 5, I don't discredit that as a I don't think there's no such thing as a bad win to me. Okay. A win is a win is a win. But looking at that, Brookfield has also been featured on the power rankings, and I think they've been ranked, their peak rank this season was 8th at one point, 8 or 7 on the girls' side. So this is a solid quality program and team that they could come out any given night and beat anybody. And that's no exception with tonight. I think it's going to be a great game. And like I said, they have 2 key stats over Liberty that I'm looking at. And one of those primarily being rebounds, primarily in the offensive rebounding category. That's going to be a big one to watch for Brookfield.
remember, Brookfield has not played Champion yet, so we really don't know how Brookfield.
It's hard to get a gauge on that. Yeah,
get a gauge because obviously Liberty just beat Champion pretty handily, but Brookfield still has to play Champion twice. I think their first game got rescheduled. So, I mean, right now they have a game with Champion. I believe it's at home on the 31st of January, originally scheduled, but they still have another matchup with Champion they have to get in.
Yeah, that's going to be definitely an interesting game too, as that MVAC's grace tier is going to be absolutely insane, I think.
Sigler popping in.
Yeah, I think so as well, Siggy. I think that is very fair because Liberty's looked very good this year, and I think even if you consider this a 5-point win tonight, there's no such thing as a bad win. That's a good win for either team. Another big stat to look at: Liberty shooting 46% overall from the field as a team, comparative to 37 for Brookfield. Liberty making 59 threes on the season, Brookfield making 44. Another big stat I like to look at, especially with girls basketball, what are these two teams doing at the free throw line? And looking at both of these teams, Brookfield has made 101 shots at the line. Liberty has made 95. Brookfield has taken 164 attempts. Liberty's taken 155. Field goal percentage, 62% to 61% from Brookfield to Liberty. So both these teams shooting about the same from the free throw line, and that's going to be that's another one that you usually look at too, as far as teams who get into foul trouble, if you're able to make it up at the line too, especially when you have a scoring gap, but not really a clear advantage either or there. So that's another interesting stat I always like to look at with basketball on the girls' side as well.
Brookfield will be the more desperate team because they have 2 losses in the MVAC, and if they want any chance to catch Liberty, they can't afford this loss. They need to beat Liberty, and then they have to hope that Liberty stumbles against Garfield or Champion their second time around.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Brookfield is you're absolutely right. They have everything to kind of lose from this. A loss here kind of puts them completely out of the standings, where they only have 2 losses in the conference, so they could still make it up, and this is a big one too against the team that's number 1. They would need a little bit more help. They would need Garfield to maybe take care of business, or someone else to trip Liberty up to get into it, but a loss here could be detrimental for them and pretty much kind of take them out of the standings, in my opinion.
So Sophie Hook and Demi Watson are both going to go off. We both agree on that. I think it's going to come down to secondary scores. Who wins the battle between Reardon and Sienna Smith? Who wins the battle between Aaliyah Foster and Wellman down low in the paint? Who wins the battle between Reichert and Mia Parker, or whoever Liberty kind of puts in that 3 spot? I think Watson and Hook are going to even each other out.
Looking at this too, I want to look at the stats of the big 3 for each team as well, as that'll be fun to talk about here as we pull that up. So looking at, first off, we'll look at Sophie Hook and Watson, as we wanted to compare these two. So both different types but we're just looking at them as the scoring leaders overall. So you're looking at Sophie Hook averaging 17.5 points per game at 10.7 rebounds. So she's averaging a double-double, 2.9 assists, 3.9 steals, and just about a 1/10 of a block. So not a huge in the block category, but in the 5 major categories, 17.5 points per 10.7 rebounds, just under 3 assists, just under 4 steals. That's phenomenal numbers for Sophie Hook. Exactly what Newsy has said. Liberty is very quick on defense as well. Demi Watson, 19.2 points per game, 7.2 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 3 steals a game, just under a block a game.
The real Pat Narduzzi too.
Is it the real one? Next one you wanted to look at Reardon averaging 8.5 points per game averaging 4.8 rebounds, 2.9 assists, 2.8 steals. Second scorer for them, Aaliyah Foster, 17 points per game, 7 rebounds per game, 1.3 assists, 3.8 steals. Wellman for them, the third leading scorer, 8 points per game for Brookfield, 8.7 rebounds per game. Nice 8 and 8 number there. 1.6 steals, just under assists, 2.4 blocks. That's the big number to look at. She's their big shot blocker down low. Number 3 for them is Sienna Smith, 15.2 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, 4.8 assists, 2.1 steals, just under a block per game. That's what we said, too. And that's what I consistently said about Liberty. That big three is something special, having that many players averaging that many points.
Sienna Smith sacrifices about 5 or 6 points a game to distribute. So like, you could argue that
all three of them averaging 7 rebounds or more, too.
As far as points responsible for, you could argue that like Sienna Smith probably would be averaging 20 points a game.
She very well could be. And I mean, the fact of the matter that Sienna Smith is a junior, so is Demi Watson, and Aaliyah Foster is a sophomore. These are 3 girls that are going to get better. They're all coming back next year, too. This is something special, is what I'm saying, is happening in Liberty, and what you're seeing in these 3 girls that are able to do these incredible things. Like I said, a girl that averages over 15 a game, a lot of teams have one, if that, and they break their backs to have one girl like that. Liberty's coming in with 3 girls averaging over 15 points a game, over 7 rebounds a game. That's fantastic numbers for the big 3 over there in Liberty.
So we've seen the gap. There's a gap between the secondary scoring of Brookfield and Liberty. So the question goes into, in the first matchup and in tonight's matchup, what closed that gap so much?
Let's look at the stats by game.
I think it's rebounding.
We could look at the stats by game, I think, for each of these teams. Go into that Brookfield game that they played and look at it a little bit deeper as well for both of these teams and just see where that big gap was. And I think you're right, too, Anthony. I would say it probably is in that offensive rebounding. And a lot of people can discredit how much dominating the glass, especially offensive boards, can really affect a team. You could shoot as much as 10% lower than the other team, but if you're getting second chance points at the bucket, it makes things a whole heck of a lot easier.
When Sophie Hook is a great 3-point shooter, where do the best threes come off of, Ty? They come off of offensive rebounds.
Absolutely.
And I don't know how many times I've seen Brookfield get an offensive rebound. You know, the defense kind of collapses and they're trying to get it. And then all of a sudden the ball comes out to a wide open Sophie Hook who drills a 3.
And that's the biggest thing, is that if you're able to kick out, or with just the height too, Sophie Hook is able to get a lot of boards as well. She averages over 10 a game. So she's able to get in on those boards. She's able to get them and put them right back up.
Averaging a double-double.
Yeah. Sophie Hook is something very special over there in Brookfield. When you're averaging 17 and 10, you're doing something right.
I'm pretty sure her steals average is pretty up there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, this is really, both teams are going to be, it's going to be the high scoring velocity of Liberty. They're going to get out. They're going to try to run on you. They're going to try to get it in transition. Brookfield, they're going to have to try to slow it down, keep it in the half court, dominate the glass, slow Liberty down, make them be methodical on offense. And if you could force misses with some good height down low like Brookfield has, and then just convert that into rebounds, dominating on the glass on offensive and defensive ends, you could turn that into points and you could really slow this team down. Looking at these games, though, real quick before we go off the show. In that game, Sophie Hook went off for 19 points. Reardon had 12. Wellman had 13. Those were the big scores on that one. On the other side for Liberty in that one, Sienna Smith had 10. Aaliyah Foster had 23. Demi Watson had 11. That's the one where Foster had a big game. She was shooting 73% on that night as well. Looking at that as well, the big name, Foster had 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals. There were 8 total steals for Liberty that night. For the Warriors, they were at, they moved the ball around a lot, actually, and they dominated in rebounds. Reardon had 10. Sophie Hook had 12. I mean, you look at the rebounding totals for these teams, just looking at the team's stats. Hold on, let me pull those up. Field goal percentage, here's the biggest one. 43-38, Liberty led that one last time. Assist was Brookfield 15-11. Rebounds, here's the big number, Anthony. 45-25 in the game for Brookfield.
Yep,
20 plus rebound advantage in that. 9-8 in steals. Brookfield led 4-0 in blocks. But that's the biggest one I'm looking at, because 3-pointers, Liberty had 3, Brookfield had 1, so they're kind of even on that. 13 free throws to 7 made for Brookfield. They had 22 attempts to 14 for Liberty. But yeah, that's the biggest number. And here's another big one. 22 offensive rebounds to 10 for Liberty in that first matchup. 23 defensive to 15. And that's 45-25. That is a big number. And that's the one, like we said, Brookfield's going to have to try to hang their hat on if they want success again in this one.
And remember, Brookfield hit 2 free throws to tie up that game late, which made Aaliyah Foster have to hit that buzzer beater. So
You got to see your coach has been talking and pounding, boxing out and getting boards, though, ahead of this matchup.
Yeah, I think Coach Watson probably had some physical practices boxing out each other.
You kind of have to. Gonna be a great matchup tonight. This is gonna be a fun one. Watch out for Brookfield's size. Watch out for Liberty's scoring.
Liberty's undefeated season on the line. Brookfield's hopes and dreams of an MVAC title on the line as well. And that'll be a fun one indeed. Along with the other games on the network tonight, remember you can go to ysnlive.com/live to find the list of games that we'll have covered. And that will be up to date as of now. Let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 games on the network tonight.
Good, smooth 15 games on the network to get you all carried through the night, starting as early as, I believe, 5:30. 5:30. So get yourself a little bit of casual sports, a little bit of power hour, grab yourself something to eat, and then tune in starting at 5:30. We got you covered for the night.
We're taking a 22-hour break. We'll be back tomorrow from 12 to 2. We'll do it again with boys matchups for a Friday, so don't miss that.